To avoid getting railroaded into a marriage by my mom, I was going to add my best friend to the family group chat to pose as my girlfriend. Except my thumb slipped, and I invited my boss instead, the Ice Queen, the one whose name inspires fear in the hearts of grown men. And now, staring at the $1,000 Venmo payment that instantly appeared in the chat, followed by her message, "Thank you, Mrs. Cole." All I could do was open LinkedIn. It was time to find a new job on a different planet. "Ethan, when are you going to bring a girlfriend home? Are you trying to send me to my grave with regrets?" My mom's voice erupted from my phone's speaker, a sonic assault powerful enough to be classified as a military-grade weapon. It left my ears ringing. I held the phone at arm's length, staring at the ceiling with the dead-eyed gaze of a man who had completely given up on life. "Mom, I'm looking okay. You can't rush this stuff." "Looking? You've been looking for 3 years. The kid from next door is already in kindergarten, and you're still feeding me lines about destiny? Let me tell you, Ethan Cole, if you don't bring a living, breathing woman home for Thanksgiving this year, don't bother coming home at all." Click. She hung up on me, mercilessly. My name is Ethan Cole, and I'm just another cog in the corporate machine, currently staring down the barrel of the biggest crisis of my life. It wasn't a looming project deadline or a pay cut. It was a maternal ultimatum. I collapsed onto the sofa, feeling like my soul had been scooped out with a melon baller. Bring someone home? Where was I supposed to find someone? My life was a cycle of working insane hours and unwinding with video games. The only women I interacted with were the cleaning lady at the office and my new boss, the one who'd just been transferred in. Just thinking about her sent a shiver down my spine. Quinn Davenport, a.k.a. the Ice Queen. She'd made director at 27, blessed with looks that could launch 1,000 ships and a heart as cold as a server room. On her first day, she'd torn into a project manager so viciously over a typo in a PowerPoint presentation that he'd questioned his own existence right there in the conference room. Me? Ask her out? Was I insane? I still had a few good years left in me, thanks. Just as I was sinking into the depths of despair, my phone buzzed. It was my best friend, Kevin. "Dude, Queen Mother holding court again." I sent him a gif of a catatonic-looking possum. "Kev, I think this is the end of the line for me." "Chill out, man. It's not a big deal. I got a plan." A minute later, Kevin's brilliant, half-baked scheme appeared on my screen. It was simple and deeply unethical. Kev would change his profile picture to some cute anime girl, change his WhatsApp name to Tiffany, and I'd add him to my family group chat. I'd tell my mom she was my long-distance girlfriend. It would buy me some time, at least until after Thanksgiving. Then we'd have a peaceful, amicable breakup. I stared at the "you got it, dude" gif sent by the 6'2", 200-pound man I called my best friend, and I contemplated my life choices. The plan sounded like a one-way ticket to hell, but right now, it was the only ticket I had. To hell with it. Taking a deep breath, I opened the group chat ominously named the Cole Family Royal Court and extended my hand toward the abyss. "Mom, I've got a surprise for you," I typed, testing the waters. Predictably, she replied in seconds. "A surprise? You found a girlfriend?" My various aunts immediately popped online. "Ethan has a girlfriend. Add her to the chat. Let your Aunt Carol see her." The time was ripe. I tapped the plus icon at the top of the screen to invite a new member. I found Kevin's contact. His profile picture was now a pink-haired anime character, and his name was changed to Tiffany. This was it. I selected his name and moved my thumb to tap confirm. But in that split second before my finger made contact, a notification from my company's Slack channel popped up, causing the screen to lag for a fraction of a second. By the time I realized what had happened, my thumb had already pressed down. The screen refreshed, and a system message appeared in the chat. Ethan Cole invited Q to the group. Q? Who the hell was Q? A cold dread washed over me. I scrambled to tap on the Q profile. A minimalist, solid black avatar. No public posts, no bio, just a single, lonely letter. Q. My mind raced, and a cold sweat broke out on my forehead. In my entire contact list, there was only one person with that avatar, and that initial. My hand started to tremble as I opened Q's detailed profile. The contact name I had saved, Quinn Davenport. Boom! My world went dark. I had just added my boss, the cold-blooded corporate shark Quinn Davenport, to my family's private group chat. My brain shut down for a full 3 seconds. When it rebooted, Every cell in my body was screaming the same thing. Run. Leave the country. Leave the planet. I fumbled with my phone, trying to kick her out of the group before anyone noticed, but my mom's reflexes were, as always, faster than my will to live. A bright red, obnoxiously large Venmo notification slammed onto the screen. The payment note had just 4 words, for my future daughter-in-law. I stared at the notification, my heart stopping in my chest. Don't accept it. Please, for the love of all that is holy, do not accept it. Just pretend you didn't see it. But reality is a cruel, cruel mistress. A second later, system notification. You accepted your payment. Everything went black. I almost passed out right there on the sofa. It was over. This wasn't a problem I could solve by moving to another planet. I was going to need a whole new universe. My mom's ecstatic voice immediately filled the chat. A full 60-second voice memo. I tapped on it, my hand shaking. Oh, honey, you must be Ethan's girlfriend. You accepted that so fast. This boy, he never tells us anything, keeping you a secret all this time. Don't you listen to a word he says. If he ever gives you any trouble, you tell me, and I'll break his legs. My Aunt Carol. Welcome, welcome. She seems like a sharp one. My other aunt. Snagged that money right away. I like her. Ethan, you've got good taste. I was completely numb, my fingers shaking. I opened a private chat with Quinn, preparing to type the most groveling, pathetic apology of my entire life. Quinn, Ms. Davenport, listen, I am so sorry. Before I could even finish composing my plea for mercy, her chat icon lit up. She'd replied. My heart leaped into my throat as I awaited my sentence. I opened it. 2 words. It's fine. Followed by another message. I've accepted the money. It will be deducted from this month's bonus. Okay. Deducting my pay was infinitely better than summary execution. I had just started to breathe again when I saw it. In the family group chat, that stark, black Q avatar popped up with a new message. Quinn, thank you, Mrs. Cole. He's been wonderful. It was followed by a blushing emoji. My pupils dilated in shock. I stared at that blushing emoji, feeling my entire understanding of the universe being dragged into a back alley and beaten senseless. Was this really Quinn Davenport? The woman who could make a senior executive cry in a board meeting? Was she capable of using a blushing emoji? I had to be hallucinating. I pinched my thigh. Hard. Ouch. The sharp pain confirmed it. This was real. My mom was clearly won over by that single sentence. Another 60-second voice memo appeared. Oh, what a sweet girl. What's your name, honey? Where do you work? Are you at the same company as Ethan? I frantically messaged Quinn privately. Ms. Davenport, please, I'm begging you, don't answer. Just say you're a friend, and I added you by mistake. Quinn, a mistake? Then how do I explain accepting your mother's money? Me, I'll pay you back. Double. No, triple. Quinn, too late. And then, right there in the family chat, I saw her reply. My name is Quinn, Mrs. Cole. And yes, we work at the same company. I'm a designer. She even made up a job for herself. A designer? Lady, the only thing you design is the termination of people's careers. My mom was even more thrilled. Oh, a designer. That's wonderful. A creative type. Quinn, honey, tell me, how is Ethan doing at work? Is he behaving himself? He's not giving any of the new employees a hard time, is he? My soul just about left my body. This was it. She was going to use this opportunity to publicly broadcast all my professional sins, the long lunches, the occasional late arrivals. That one time, she probably overheard me complaining about her. I could already see my future. Me, tied to a chair, being lectured to death by my mother. I closed my eyes, awaiting the sweet release of death. A minute later, my phone vibrated. It was Quinn's reply. You can rest easy, Mrs. Cole. Ethan is an absolute star at the office. He's hardworking, proactive, and always willing to help his colleagues. A real model employee. Me? I shot bolt upright, rereading the message 3 times. Model employee? Ethan, was she talking about me? Since when was I any of those things? While I was still reeling, another private message from Quinn popped up. Screenshot. This month's Employee of the Month award. If you don't get it, you know what happens. Me. She wasn't an ice queen. She was the devil. From that night on, my life split into 2 completely different realities. By day, at the office, I was Quinn Davenport's subordinate, a lowly project coordinator trembling under her icy gaze. By night, in the Cole family royal court, I was suddenly her handsome, thoughtful, and caring boyfriend. And Quinn, an actress so good she deserved an Oscar, flawlessly navigated her double life. In the group chat, she crafted the perfect persona, a gentle, considerate designer from a modest background, working hard to make her way in the world. When my mom shared a link to an article about the health benefits of kale, Quinn would be the first to like it, commenting, "Great advice, Mrs. Cole." Taking notes. When my little nephew posted a picture of his spelling bee certificate, she'd send a perfectly timed, "You're a star" GIF, along with a $50 Venmo payment. She even managed to remember the birthdays of all my aunts, always sending her best wishes first thing in the morning. In just a few days, Quinn, or rather, our dear Quinn, became the most popular member of our family group chat, her status quickly approaching my mother's. And I became the family's #1 target. "Ethan, what is wrong with you? Quinn sent you a good morning text, and you haven't replied for half an hour? Don't you love her anymore?" "Ethan," Quinn said, "she's feeling a little under the weather. Why haven't you brought her soup? Are you even a man?" "Ethan," Quinn posted on Facebook that she wants to see that new superhero movie. "And you? Nothing. No wonder you were single for so long." I stare at my phone, wanting to cry. I swear to God, the good morning text from Quinn wasn't good morning. It was, "I want the final proposal on my desk by 9 a.m. or you're fired." The reason she was under the weather was because she'd stayed up until 3 a.m. chatting with my mom about herbal remedies, making her voice hoarse for the morning meeting. And the thing she wanted to see on Facebook wasn't a movie. It was an industry analysis report on box office trends, with a caption, "Fascinating market shifts to watch." I was being framed. The worst part was the charade was starting to bleed from the digital world into the real one. One afternoon, I was at my desk, trying my best to look busy, when a message from Quinn popped up. "Downstairs. Your mom sent you something." My heart skipped a beat. I bolted for the elevator. There was Quinn, standing by the company entrance next to a massive cardboard box stamped with "Taste of Texas Barbecue Bonanza." The delivery guy gave me a look of pure admiration. "Dude, your girlfriend is awesome. This thing weighs a ton, but she insisted on waiting here with it for you." Quinn stared at me, her expressionless face clearly communicating one thing. "If you don't move this box in the next 5 seconds, you're dead." I rushed over, hoisting the box with a grunt. Ms. Davenport, this, my mother," I began, correcting myself, "said it's to help her future daughter-in-law put some meat on her bones." Quinn said flatly, "You take it. Bring me a portion tomorrow. Prepared, smoked." With those 2 words, she turned and walked away, leaving me with nothing but her formidable silhouette and a box of raw meat. I clutched the ridiculously heavy care package, tears welling in my eyes. I can barely toast a bagel. She wanted me to smoke a brisket, but orders were orders. A boss is a boss. I spent the entire night on Google, watching tutorial videos, and turning my kitchen into what looked like a disaster zone. But somehow, I managed to produce a slow-cooked brisket that, while looking a bit tragic, was technically edible. The next day, I walked into Quinn's office with a thermos, my heart pounding against my ribs. "Ms. Davenport, food." She was reviewing a document and didn't even look up. "Put it there." I carefully placed the thermos on her desk and prepared to make a strategic retreat. "Wait," she said. I froze. "You feed me." I was pretty sure my ears were malfunctioning. "WH what?" Quinn finally looked up, her stunning face devoid of emotion, but her eyes held an authority that was impossible to defy. "You heard me. I'm Busse." My hand started shaking. If anyone from the office saw this, I'd be a company-wide meme by lunchtime. Breaking. Director and subordinate engage in bizarre office feeding ritual. A ghost of a smile touched Quinn's lips. She picked up her phone and played a voice memo. My mom's cheerful voice filled the office. "Quinn, honey, I sent you our best local brisket. Make sure Ethan prepares it for you. If he doesn't take good care of you, you let me know." She finished the recording, raised an eyebrow, and looked at me. "Do I need to call your mother and report on the quality of your care?" I surrendered instantly. No, that's not necessary, Ms. Davenport. I'll do it. I'll feed you." Resigned to my fate, I picked up a fork, speared a piece of brisket, and shakily held it to her lips. Ms. Davenport, open up. My face was burning. I had never been so humiliated in my entire life. Quinn elegantly opened her mouth and took a bite. Then, her perfect eyebrows knitted together slightly. My heart sank. It was over. It tasted horrible. She was going to throw in my face. Salty, she commented. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'll do better next time. More bark next time. It's good, she said, taking another bite I offered. Do it again tomorrow. Me? I felt like my legs were made of jelly as I walked out of her office. I had just slumped into my chair when my coworker, Dave, sidled up to me, his face a mask of intrigue. Ethan, my man, you were in there for over half an hour. What were you and the Ice Queen talking about? What could I say? I was discussing the tragic state of my own existence. Before I could answer, a few female colleagues from across the room rushed over. Ethan, what happened to your neck? One of them asked, pointing with a horrified expression. I instinctively touched my neck. It was a little sore. I pulled out my phone and switched to the selfie camera. There on the side of my neck was a clear, red mark. It looked exactly like a hickey. My mind went blank. Where did that come from? Oh, right. It was from wrestling with that stupid, heavy box of meat. The sharp edge of the cardboard must have scraped me. As I was about to explain, another coworker let out a dramatic gasp. Oh my God, Ethan, you and Ms. Davenport, you too. She pointed at me, then back toward Quinn's office, her face screaming, my ship has come in. In an instant, every eye in the department was on me. I opened my mouth, but no words came out. 1,000 explanations wouldn't be enough to clear this up. It's not. We get it, man. Dave clapped me hard on the shoulder, a massive grin on his face. No wonder the boss was actually smiling in the meeting this morning. You're the reason why. Me? Quinn Davenport smiled? In a meeting? Had health frozen over? Before I could process this new information, I saw Quinn emerge from her office. In her hand, she was holding my pink thermos. The entire office fell silent. She walked straight toward me, ignoring everyone else, and placed the thermos on my desk. Tasted good. Then she paused, her gaze falling on my neck. Everyone held their breath. I felt like I was about to suffocate from the tension. Quinn reached out a slender finger and gently, so gently, brushed it against the red mark. My entire body went rigid. She leaned in close to my ear, her voice a whisper only I could hear. Next time, make it darker. And with that, she turned, and the click-clack of her heels echoed in the stunned silence as she walked away, leaving me for dead. Socially, at least. After the Hickey incident, my status in the company did a complete 180. Before, my colleagues looked at me with pity, the poor soul toiling away under the Ice Queen. Now, they looked at me with reverence, the brave hero who had somehow tamed the dragon. I became a corporate legend. Ethan, you gotta share your secrets. How did you land a goddess like Quinn Davenport? Dude, are you secretly the heir to some massive fortune? What's your story? I had no defense. What could I possibly say? That it was all a huge mistake? That the mark on my neck was from a cardboard box? That my relationship with Quinn was as pure and innocent as a fresh blanket of snow? Who would believe that? Even I was starting to doubt it, especially with Quinn's constant help. She started interacting with me in public, dropping subtle and not so subtle hints. During a company-wide town hall, she'd suddenly call on me. Ethan, what are your thoughts on this project? After I stammered through an answer, she'd nod, a faint smile playing on her lips. Good. An interesting perspective. The room would erupt in whispers. This was the woman whose only feedback for me used to be idiotic or brainless. At lunch in the cafeteria, she'd walk right up to my table with her tray and sit down. I don't eat cilantro. Then, under the shocked gazes of the entire marketing department, she would meticulously pick every last piece of cilantro from her plate and drop it into my bowl. I ate the cilantro, tears in my eyes. I hate cilantro, but I was starting to hate Quinn Davenport more. All of this, of course, was a direct provocation to our sleazy vice president, Mark Thompson. Mark was in his 40s, with slick back hair and a penchant for shirts that were at least one size too small. From the day Quinn had arrived, he'd been relentlessly pursuing her with flowers, gifts, and creepy compliments. Quinn, in turn, had treated him like something she'd scraped off her shoe. Now, the appearance of a real boyfriend had lit a fire of jealousy under him. He started targeting me at every opportunity. He'd find 100 things wrong with my proposals. You call this work? Ethan, is this really the best you can do? Ms. Davenport, your boyfriend's professional skills are seriously lacking. He'd slash my project budgets in half. Young man, you need to learn to be frugal. The project hasn't even started, and you're already asking for money. Even if I was just getting a glass of water, he'd make a snide remark. Well, look at Ethan, taking it easy. I guess being in love means you don't have to focus on work anymore. Ms. Davenport, you really should keep him on a tighter leash. I gritted my teeth and took it. I was just a coordinator. I couldn't afford to make an enemy of a VP. But while I could take it, it seemed Quinn could not. One day, in a planning meeting, Mark once again publicly tore my latest proposal to shreds. No creativity. Flawed logic. If this passes, I'll eat my hat. He slammed the document on the table, shooting me a smug look before turning his challenging gaze to Quinn. I was burning with shame, wishing the floor would swallow me whole. I braced myself for Quinn to tell me to redo it, as she usually would. But instead, she spoke. Her voice was quiet, but colder than ice. Mr. Thompson. Yes. Mark replied, looking arrogant. Have you decided on a new hat yet? The smirk on Mark's face froze. Ms. Davenport, what's that supposed to mean? Quinn ignored him and looked at me, her eyes sharp and focused in a way I'd never seen before. Ethan, walk Mr. Thompson through your proposal. From the very first page. I hesitated. That was all she said. I had no idea what she was planning, but her presence was so commanding that I had no choice but to stand up. I started presenting my plan. To my surprise, the words flowed effortlessly. I had pulled 3 all-nighters on this thing. I knew every detail by heart. At first, Mark sat with his arms crossed, a sneer on his face. But as I got deeper into the data and the strategy, his expression grew more and more serious. When I finished the last slide, the conference room was completely silent. Quinn broke the silence. Mr. Thompson, which part, exactly, has no creativity? And where's the logic flawed? Mark's face turned red, then pale. I just think there might be some issues with execution. Oh, Quinn raised an eyebrow. In that case, why don't you personally lead the execution of this project? How does that sound? Me? Mark was stunned. What's the matter? Don't have confidence in yourself. A cold smile played on Quinn's lips. Or was everything you just said simply a personal attack on my guy? She put a special emphasis on the last 2 words. Mark's face became a mask of fury. He knew he'd walked right in her trap. If he took the project, he was admitting the plan was viable, making himself look like a fool. If he refused, he was admitting to abusing his power for a personal grudge. He was trapped. Finally, through gritted teeth, he said, fine, I'll do it. After the meeting, I trailed behind Quinn as we left the room. My mind was a mess of relief and anxiety. Ms. Davenport, thank you, I said quietly. For what? She asked without breaking her stride. For helping me. She stopped suddenly and turned to face me. Her eyes were bright, like stars reflected in ice. I wasn't helping you. I was showing everyone that you don't mess with Quinn Davenport's people. With that, she turned and walked away. I stood there, watching her go, as my heart, the traitorous bastard, skipped a beat. After the protective display in the conference room, Mark Thompson finally backed off, no longer daring to harass me openly. And in the eyes of our colleagues, my relationship with Quinn became as solid as a rock. But I knew it was all an act. She was just using me as a shield, and I was playing my part. There was a chasm between us that could never be crossed. My mother, however, did not see it that way. She believed our relationship had progressed to the next logical stage. The date. Ethan, you and Quinn have been together for a while now. How come you haven't been on a proper date? Is there something wrong with you? Me? My mother's choice of words was always so precise and so painful. Mom, we've been busy. Busy with what? You're never too busy to date. I'm telling you, this weekend, you're taking Quinn out for a full day, and you will post 9 pictures on Facebook. 1 picture short, 1 leg broken. Got it. I looked at the threatening text from my mom and felt my legs go weak. Ask Quinn on a date. Would she even agree? Stealing myself, I sent Quinn a message. Ms. Davenport. So, my mom is insisting we go on a date this weekend and post pictures. I fully expected her to shut me down or use it as another opportunity to blackmail me. To my surprise, she replied instantly. Okay. I stared at the screen. That was it. A moment later, another message came through. I'll pick the place. Be downstairs at the office Saturday, 9 a.m. A sense of foreboding washed over me. This woman was definitely up to no good. On Saturday morning, with a heart full of dread, I arrived at the office building. Quinn was already there. She wasn't in her usual power suit. Instead, she wore a sleek, athletic outfit, her long hair tied back in a high ponytail. She looked sharp and energetic, less like an ice queen and more like an action hero. I'll admit, for a second, I was completely captivated. Get in, she said, nodding toward her car. I slid into the passenger seat of her white Porsche. So, where are we going? You'll see, she said, and the car shot off down the street. An hour later, we pulled up to the entrance of a desolate-looking forest preserve. A large banner was strung across the gate. Omega Corp's first annual Push Your Limits Outdoor Team Building Retreat. Me, Ms. Davenport, this is your idea of a date? I asked, my voice trembling as I pointed at the banner. What else would it be? She parked the car, popped the trunk, and pulled out 2 large backpacks, tossing one to me. Our company is a major investor in this program. I'm here today for site inspection. You're here as my assistant. But my mom wants date pictures. This is a date, she said with a raised eyebrow. Couples who do outdoor challenges together stay together. It's a great way to build character and deepen our bond. I believe that when pigs flew, with the heavy pack on my back, I trudged after her, officially beginning my date from hell. First up, rock climbing. I looked at the nearly vertical cliff face, and my legs turned to jelly. Ms. Davenport, I'm afraid of heights. Oh, she glanced at me. I seem to recall you writing in a proposal that one must be brave enough to challenge oneself and break through personal limits. Was that just for show? She had me there. She expertly strapped on her harness and scaled the wall like a seasoned pro. Against the bright sun, her silhouette was one of pure strength. The staff below broke into applause. From the top, she looked down at me, a smirk on her face. I'll wait for you up here. For the sake of my male pride, and for my mother's 9 photos, I gritted my teeth and went for it. I scrambled up the wall, every movement feeling like a step toward my doom. By the time I finally reached the top, I was panting like a dog in summer. Quinn handed me a bottle of water. Click. She'd taken a picture of me with her phone. In the photo, I was drenched in sweat, my face a grimace of agony against a backdrop of the beautiful blue sky. One, she said, waving her phone. Me. The rest of the day's activities were even more sadistic. On the treetop ropes course, I got stuck dangling from a wire, screaming for my life. Quinn stood below, calmly snapping a photo of my tear-streaked, terrified face. 2. During the way to trail run, I was forced to carry a pack that felt heavier than I was, gasping for air on a mountain path. Quinn was ahead of me, moving with an easy grace, occasionally turning back to snap a picture of me grimacing in pain. 3, 4, 5. By the end of the day, I felt like I was knocking on death's door. Quinn, on the other hand, wasn't even winded. She even had the energy to create a photo collage of my 9 most humiliating moments and post it on Facebook with a disgustingly sweet caption. With him through every challenge, every victory, pushing limits and loving every minute. At Ethan Cole, she tagged me. A minute later, my notifications exploded. My mom was the first to comment. Yes, yes, yes. This is what young people should be doing. Quinn, you're such a good influence on our Ethan. My Aunt Carol, they look so perfect together. My other aunt. So, when's the wedding? Coworker, hey, holy crap. Ethan, you're a god. You got the Ice Queen to do a ropes course. Coworker B, I'm not crying, you're crying. Relationship goals. Even Mark Thompson commented, with a single, passive-aggressive, smiley face emoji. I looked at the 9 photos of my face, twisted in what could only be described as pure agony, and then at the flood of cheerful comments. I had only one thought: let the world burn. After the date from hell, I decided I could no longer be a passive victim. I had to go on the offensive. I had to find a way to make Quinn hate me, to make her initiate the breakup. And so, I began a series of masterclass-level, textbook-certified bad boyfriend maneuvers. Phase 1. Be cheap. Everyone knows women hate cheap men. One night, Quinn was working late at the office. I timed it perfectly and sent her a message. Ms. Davenport, you must be hungry. Let me order you some dinner. Quinn, okay. I grinned. The trap was set. I opened DoorDash and scrolled past all the decent restaurants, landing on a place with the lowest possible rating that was still operational. I ordered the saddest-looking desk salad on the menu. Wilted lettuce, a few lonely cucumber slices, no protein. And I specifically added a note to the order, dressing on the side. The smallest possible amount. Perfect. What woman could tolerate a man this cheap, with such bizarrely specific, terrible taste? Half an hour later, I knocked on her office door, holding the takeout bag. Your dinner, Ms. Davenport. I placed a pathetic-looking salad on her desk. She glanced at it, not even flinching. Thanks. She picked up the plastic fork and took a bite. I watched her, holding my breath, waiting for the explosion, for her to ask if I was insane, or maybe to just dump the salad over my head. But she just ate it calmly, even nodding in approval. This is good. Very healthy. Me? Healthy? That thing was one step away from being compost. I'm on a new diet. Can't have anything too greasy, she said, taking another bite. This is very thoughtful of you. Me? Are you kidding me? I played myself. Phase 1. Failure. Undeterred, I move on to Phase 2. Terrible taste. Over the weekend, Quinn messaged me. There was a corporate gala that night, and I had to be her date. An idea sparked. I went to the mall and found the most hideously tacky gift imaginable. A giant, pink, rhinestone-encrusted music box that played a tinny version of some terrible pop song for the 2000s. That evening, I showed up at her apartment building wearing a plaid suit I'm pretty sure my dad wore in the 80s, clutching the eye-searingly bright music box. When she walked out of the lobby, I was momentarily stunned. She was wearing a breathtaking black evening gown that highlighted her elegant neck and collarbones. Her hair was styled in an updo. Her makeup was flawless. She looked like a queen stepping out of the moonlight. I felt a little dizzy. This is for you, I said, snapping back to reality and thrusting the music box at her. I waited to see the look of disgust and contempt on her face, but she just glanced at it and took it. It's very unique, she managed to say. Do you like it? I pressed, searching for any sign of a crack in her composure. Yes, she nodded. Let's go, we're going to be late. And just like that, she got in the car, holding that monstrosity of a music box. The entire ride, I watched her, but her expression remained perfectly neutral. At the gala, she was the center of attention, and I, along with the pink music box in her hands, was the butt of the joke standing next to her. I could feel the stares. Who is that woman? She's gorgeous. Is that guy next to her boyfriend? What is with his taste? Is that music box for real? Looks like he got it on clearance at a dollar store. I was secretly thrilled. This was it. There was no way Quinn could tolerate this public humiliation. Just then, Mark Thompson sauntered over, a glass of champagne in his hand. His eyes immediately landed on the music box, and a look of undisguised mockery spread across his face. Ms. Davenport, what an interesting accessory. I didn't take you for a fan of such trinkets. Quinn gave him a cool glance. It is, isn't it? She held up the music box, letting the cheap rhinestones catch the light. My boyfriend gave it to me. He said it represents our love. Unbreakable, brilliant, and as dazzling as a diamond. As she spoke, she looked at me with an expression of deep, unwavering affection. Me? When the hell did I ever say that? Mark was speechless. The people around us who had been whispering started to look at the music box differently. Wow, that's so romantic. I never would have guessed it had such a deep meaning. I feel so shallow now. That's what true love looks like. I stared at Quinn's face as she spouted this utter nonsense with the conviction of a seasoned politician. This woman missed her calling. She should have been a novelist. Phase 2, epic fail. I refused to give up. After the gala, I drove her home. On the way, I decided to deploy my ultimate weapon. Phase 3, the awkward conversation. Quinn, did you know that pigs can't look up at the sky? Quinn, HM. Quinn, did you know that giraffes only sleep for 30 minutes a day? Quinn, HM. Quinn, did you know that my mom always says women with bigger hips have an easier time having babies? The moment the words left my mouth, the car fell into a dead silence. I could hear the hum of the air conditioning. I was ecstatic. This was it. I had finally done it. That sentence was enough to get me a restraining order from any sane woman. I waited for her to kick me out of the moving car. But after a few agonizingly long seconds, she spoke. Her voice was soft, with a hint of something I couldn't quite place. Amusement? Is that so? She kept her eyes on the road, but I saw her glance at the rearview mirror. Then, she said something that made my entire world short-circuit. So what do you think? Will I have an easy time? It took me 3 full minutes to reboot my brain, which had been fried to a crisp. What did Quinn just say? She asked me if I thought she'd have an easy time having babies. What kind of unholy, impossible question was that? It was harder than the final exam for my advanced calculus class. If I said yes, I was a pig. If I said no, I was a liar, and my fate would likely be even worse. I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. The air in the car was thick with a strange, charged energy. Thankfully, we arrived at her building. The moment the car stopped, I practically threw myself out the door. Quinn, good night. See you later. I ran without looking back, feeling like I was being chased by a demon. I didn't sleep a wink that night. Her question echoed in my mind on a loop. It was over. This woman had me completely and utterly cornered. My grand plan to get dumped was a total, spectacular failure. In the following days, I gave up. I was done. Let the world burn. I was tired. I stopped fighting and passively accepted my new identity as Quinn's boyfriend. Just as I thought life would continue in this bizarre, split reality, the company's annual fall retreat was announced. The destination, a spa and resort up in Lake Geneva. I tried to get out of it, but one look from Quinn, a single sharp glance that clearly said, "Don't you dare," was enough to change my mind. On the bus, our colleagues started chanting for us to sit together. Amid a chorus of kiss, 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 we awkwardly took our seats at the front. Mark Thompson sat behind us, his glare feeling like a physical weight on the back of my neck. When we got to the resort, it was free time. Everyone headed for the hot springs. I was about to find a quiet corner to hide in when Mark and a few of his cronies cornered me. "Ethan, don't run off," Mark said with a fake smile. "Let's do something fun. Something for the men." He pointed to a nearby, man-made lake. "How about a little swim?" It was late fall. The water would be freezing. This was clearly a setup. "Mr. Thompson, I'm not a very good swimmer." I tried to decline. "What, scared?" one of Mark's buddies sneered. "Are you even a man?" "I can't believe Miss Davenport fell for you." "Yeah, just a pretty boy. I'll show and no go." My hands clenched into fists. "Fine, let's do it." I blurted out, my anger getting the better of me. I couldn't let them disrespect me, and I definitely couldn't let them disrespect Quinn. Even if our relationship was fake to the outside world, she was my girlfriend. I wouldn't let them embarrass her. In my swim trunks, I stood by the edge of the lake, looking at the dark green water with a growing sense of dread. Mark and his friends all looked like they hit the gym regularly. I, on the other hand, had the classic office worker physique. "First one to the buoy on the other side and back wins," Mark announced. "Loser has to crawl around the lake on all fours, barking like a dog." I took a deep breath and jumped in. The icy water shocked my system, and I shivered violently. The race started. Mark and his friends shot forward like torpedoes. I paddled desperately, but was quickly left behind. My energy started to drain, and my limbs grew numb. From the shore, I could hear their laughter. "Look at him. He's sinking. Haha. Just give up already, pretty boy." I gritted my teeth, telling myself not to quit. Just as I felt I couldn't go on, a sharp, excruciating pain shot through my calf. A cramp. My body seized up, and I started to sink. "Help! Help me!" I swallowed a mouthful of water, my vision blurring. On the shore, I could hear a shift in their tone. "Hey, I think he's really cramping up. Somebody get help." Just as I thought I was going to drown, a white figure sliced through the water. She dove in without a second's hesitation. She moved through the water like a mermaid, closing the distance to me in seconds. It was Quinn. She was wearing a simple white one-piece swimsuit, and in the cold, dark water, she looked unreal, almost ethereal. She reached me, grabbing my arm. "It's okay. Hold on to me," she said, her voice laced with a genuine urgency I'd never heard before. I clung to her like a lifeline. She pulled me, swimming with a powerful stroke, back toward the shore. By the time we got out, I was shivering uncontrollably, unable to speak. Quinn laid me on the ground and immediately began to administer first aid, stretching my leg to work out the cramp. Then, she leaned over me and began to perform CPR, breathing into my mouth. My eyes were open, and all I could see was her face, inches from mine. Her lips were cool and soft. They tasted like lake water. My brain shut down again. Our colleague stared, stunned into silence. Mark stood off to the side, his face pale with rage. After making sure I was breathing okay, Quinn stood up. She wrapped a towel around my shoulders. Then she turned and walked, step by deliberate step, toward Mark Thompson. Her eyes were as cold as a Siberian winter. Mark Thompson, you've got a lot of nerve. Crack. The sharp sound of her hand connecting with his face echoed across the silent resort. Everyone froze. You dare to touch my people. Quinn's voice wasn't loud, but every word was like a shard of ice. This time it was a cramp. What about next time? If anything had happened to him today, I swear to you, I would make sure you never work in this industry again. Without another glance at him, she walked back to my side and helped me to my feet. Let's go. Leaning on her, I walked away from the scene, the eyes of everyone on us filled with a new kind of awe. And in my heart, something shifted. This woman, maybe she wasn't so bad after all. After the polar plunge rescue and the slap heard round the company, my status at work transcended legend and entered the realm of myth. No one dared to gossip about me anymore. They looked at me with a mixture of respect and fear, as if I were not just Quinn's boyfriend, but her right-hand man, her top enforcer. Even Mark Thompson would change direction if he saw me coming down the hall. And the dynamic between Quinn and me began to change in subtle ways. She stopped ordering me around as much, and her tone softened. While she still wore her usual icy mask, I started catching fleeting moments of something else in her eyes. Warmth? She'd casually leave a hot coffee on my desk in the mornings. They were having a buy-one-get-one free deal. If I was working late, she'd happen to be leaving at the same time and would coincidentally offer me a ride. The gas money will come out of your next paycheck. Her excuses were terrible, but I knew something was shifting between us. My heart was in turmoil. I realized I was getting used to her presence, used to our nightly charade in the family chat, used to her special treatment at work, even used to her sarcastic remarks and devious plans. I found myself actually looking forward to her demanding morning texts. I had to be losing my mind. That night, my mom roped us into another video call. There she was on the screen, enthusiastically showing off her new line dancing moves. And here we were, Quinn and I, sitting side by side on my couch, watching with perfectly happy smiles. This had become our new normal. Quinn, honey, what do you think of my moves? Quinn offered a flawless, corporate-approved smile. You look great, Mrs. Cole. So much energy. You bet. I was the star of a show back in my day, my mom bragged. By the way, Quinn, how are your parents doing? We should all get together sometime soon, to make things official. And there it was, the final boss. My stomach dropped. I glanced nervously at Quinn. We hadn't rehearsed this part. I expected her to deflect with some excuse. But instead, a shadow passed over Quinn's eyes. It was only there for a second, but I saw it. She paused for a moment. My parents. They split up a long time ago. I haven't seen them in years. Her voice was soft, laced with a vulnerability I had never heard before. On the other end of the call, my mom was silent. I was stunned. I never knew that about her. The all-powerful, unstoppable force of nature at the office had scars of her own. My mom, recovering, immediately switched to a tone of profound sympathy. Oh, you poor thing. You've been through so much. Don't you worry. From now on, this is your family. I'm your mom now, and if my son gives you any trouble, you just let me know, and I'll take care of him. I watched my mom shaking her fist on the screen, then looked at Quinn beside me, her eyes looking a little misty. In a corner of my heart, long walled off, suddenly softened. After the call, the living room was quiet. Hey, I didn't know. I started. It's fine, she said, shaking her head, her icy composure returning. It's all part of the act. She stood up to go to her room. Quinn, I said, the name leaving my lips before I could stop it. She turned back. From now on, my mom is your mom too, I said. She froze, staring at me, something flickering in her eyes. After a long moment, she gave a soft and disappeared into her room. That night, I watched the sliver of light from under her door and didn't sleep at all. I think I was actually falling for my boss. The consequence of falling for her was that I started acting like a complete idiot. I'd find myself staring at her during meetings, watching the way her brow furrowed in concentration, the way she'd unconsciously tap her pen against the table when she was thinking, the rare, fleeting smile that would appear when one of my dumb jokes actually landed. When she'd leave me another buy one get one free coffee, I'd say, "Thanks, this is really good," instead of mentally rolling my eyes at her flimsy excuse. I even started ordering her favorite takeout for dinner when I knew she was working late. Of course, I still had to be difficult about it. Don't get any ideas. I had a coupon that was about to expire. She never called my bluff. She'd just quietly eat the food, and the next morning, a fancy breakfast would appear on my desk with a sticky note, returning the favor. We had fallen into a strange, unspoken rhythm. Nothing was said, but everything was understood. But peace, as they say, is fleeting. That afternoon, my phone rang. It was my mother. This time, her voice was practically vibrating with excitement. "So, I have a surprise for you." A shiver went down my spine. "Mom, please don't. Your father and I are downstairs at your apartment building." Boom! A lightning bolt struck me right between the eyes. What? Why are you here? To see my daughter-in-law, of course. We brought a car full of groceries. Come down and help us. I hung up, my brain completely fried. A surprise parentale inspection. This was a code red emergency. The worst part, Quinn was living in the apartment right next to mine. We'd arranged it to make the whole charade easier. If my parents found out we were living separately, they would literally break my legs. I burst into Quinn's office, panting. "Quinn, Ms. Davenport, we have a major problem." She looked up from her work, her expression turning serious when she saw my pale face. "What is it? Is Mark giving you trouble again?" 100 times worse. "My parents are here. They're downstairs. Right now." Quinn's composure finally cracked. She stared at me, stunned. What do we do? How should I know?" I paced around her office like a caged animal. "If they find out we don't live together." Quinn took a deep breath, her eyes instantly sharpening back into focus. This was why she was the director. Nerves of steel. "Don't panic," she said. "Go home. Right now. Move my stuff into your apartment." What? What do you mean, what? "Go. I'll stall them." She grabbed her car keys and rushed out of the office. Watching her go, for the first time, I felt an overwhelming sense of relief. This woman was terrifyingly reliable. I sprinted home at a speed that would have made an Olympian proud, unlocked Quinn's apartment, and began the most stressful moving day of my life. Clothes, shoes, makeup, stuffed animals. I was a frantic aunt, moving her entire life, piece by piece, into my apartment. I stuffed her dresses into my closet, her skincare products into my bathroom, her personal items onto my shelves. When I placed her giant pink teddy bear on my bed, I could feel my face burning. Once everything was moved, I collapsed on the couch, exhausted. The doorbell rang. I opened it to see my parents and Quinn, all laden with bags of groceries. "Son," my mom beamed. "Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Cole." I managed, my smile feeling more like a grimace. "Quinn, sweetie, come on in. So this is the little love nest you two have?" "It's lovely," my mom said, grabbing Quinn's hand and pulling her inside. Quinn shot me a look that said, "Keep playing along." And so began the most awkward, chaotic cohabitation of my life. That night, the inevitable problem arose. Sleeping arrangements. My apartment has 2 bedrooms. My parents took one, which left. The other one. My mom looked at us, a sly grin on her face. "You two get some rest now." I looked at the single remaining bedroom, at the single bed inside it, and felt a strong desire to spontaneously combust. "Mom, I'll just sleep on the couch." "Don't be ridiculous," my mom snapped. "You're gonna make Quinn sleep in there alone while you're on the couch? What kind of a gentleman are you? You're practically engaged. Now get in there." She shoved me into the bedroom and closed the door behind me with a decisive click. I turned to see Quinn standing there, her expression a perfect mirror of my own mortified panic. "So," I started. "You sleep on the floor," she said. We spoke at the exact same time. The air froze. Finally, Quinn broke the silence. "You take the bed. I'll take the armchair." No, I can't let you do that." I immediately protested. "Well, what's your alternative? You want to share?" she asked, raising an eyebrow, her Ice Queen persona back in full force. I immediately backed down. In the end, we reached a compromise. She took the bed, and I made a makeshift bed on the floor. I pulled some blankets from the closet and settled in. The lights went out, and the room was plunged into darkness. I could hear my own heart thumping in my chest and the soft sound of Quinn's breathing from the bed. I had never been so acutely aware of another person in my entire life. "Ethan," she said suddenly from the darkness. "Yeah." I jumped. "It's cold down there, isn't it?" "No. I'm Fine." Before I could finish, a blanket was tossed down from the bed, landing on top of me. It carried a faint, pleasant scent. Her scent. "Use it," she said. "If you get sick, who's going to make me brisket?" My heart, that stupid, traitorous organ, started beating a frantic rhythm against my ribs. Living with my parents was like being the star of a cringe comedy reality show. Every morning at 6 a.m. sharp, my mom would knock on our door. "Ethan, Quinn, time for breakfast." Quinn and I would scramble from our respective sleeping spots on the floor and the bed, trying to look like we'd just woken up together. One morning I was too slow. My mom pushed the door open to find me, still on my pile of blankets. She stared for 3 seconds, then kicked me. "You little brat. Did you get into a fight with Quinn? Did you make her kick you out of bed? You can sleep on the couch from now on." She dragged me out of the room by my ear while Quinn tried, and failed, to stifle her laughter from the bed. At meals, my mom would pile food onto Quinn's plate. "Quinn, honey, eat up. You're too thin." Then she'd glare at me. "Look at you. You're not taking care of her at all." I look at Quinn, who ate more than I did, then down at the few sad vegetables in my own bowl, and wonder if I was adopted. But the real nightmare came when my parents insisted we invite Quinn's boss to dinner to thank him for taking such good care of her. My blood ran cold. Invite Quinn's boss to dinner? Quinn's boss was Quinn. How were we supposed to pull that off? I couldn't just sit at a table and say, "Hello, empty chair. Thank you for being such a great mentor to our dear Quinn." Quinn, however, was unfazed. "Don't worry. I'll handle it." And she did. She arranged a dinner at one of the fanciest restaurants in the city. When my parents and I arrived, Quinn was already there. Sitting next to her was a distinguished-looking middle-aged man. "Mr. and Mrs. Cole, Ethan." Quinn stood to introduce him. "This is Mr. Wallace, a senior vice president at our company and my direct supervisor." I looked at Mr. Wallace, and my jaw almost hit the floor. It was my best friend Kevin's dad. Mr. Wallace, gave me a subtle wink, then shook my parents' hands with a serious expression. "A pleasure to meet you. I'm Quinn's boss, Richard Wallace." I nearly choked. "Richard Wallace? Kevin, you couldn't have come up with a better fake name for your own father?" Throughout the dinner, Mr. Rodriguez gave an Oscar-worthy performance, embodying the perfect, supportive mentor. Quinn is the backbone of our department. Talented, hardworking, a real leader. Ethan is a lucky man to have found her. My parents were completely charmed, raising their glasses to Mr. Wallace again and again. I watched Quinn and Kevin's dad interact with a seamless, practiced ease and felt like I was in an alternate reality. Were these two the real family here? Just as the evening was winding down, an unwelcome guest appeared. Mark Thompson. What was he doing here? "Well, look at this lively party." Mark sneered, holding a drink. "A family gathering, Ms. Davenport? And you didn't invite me?" He saw Kevin's dad at the table and froze. "Mr. Rodriguez? What are you doing here?" Mr. Rodriguez was the CEO of one of our firm's biggest clients. Mark knew him. He was momentarily stunned, clearly not expecting to see a familiar face. Quinn's expression darkened. This was it. We were busted. Mark," Mr. Rodriguez said, his recovery instant. "I'm here tonight in my capacity as Quinn's boss, meeting her family." Mark was even more confused. "Boss? But you're... Is there a problem with me being her boss?" Mr. Rodriguez's eyes narrowed, and an aura of unmistakable authority filled the air. Mark immediately deflated. No problem at all." He slunk away, but I could see the suspicion in his eyes. He came over to me and whispered, "You've got some pull, Ethan," getting Mr. Rodriguez himself to play along. "Let's see how long you can keep this act up." My stomach tightened. He was determined to expose us. After dinner, we saw my parents and Mr. Rodriguez off. Quinn and I walked through the hotel lobby in silence. The close call had left us both on edge. "Thanks," I said finally. "For what?" For doing all this for me," I said, looking at her. Hiring Kevin's dad couldn't have been cheap. It was fine, she said flatly. I knew she was lying. A man of his stature didn't come cheap. We reached the hotel entrance, about to hail a cab, when Mark Thompson materialized in front of us again. Davenport. Cole, he said, blocking our path. Stop the act. You two aren't really a couple, are you? Is that any of your business? Quinn said coldly. Of course it is. Mark's voice rose with emotion. Quinn, what does he have that I don't? Why did you choose this nobody over me? Because you, Quinn said, her voice dripping with contempt, disgust me. The words hit him like a physical blow. His face flushed a deep red. Phoenix. Fine. You like him so much. He suddenly pulled a small bottle from his pocket, unscrewed the cap, and lunged toward Quinn. If I can't have you, no one can. It all happened so fast. I didn't even think. My body moved on its own. I shoved Quinn behind me, shielding her with my body. The cold liquid splashed all over my back. A sharp, chemical smell filled the air. It was makeup remover? Me, Mark Thompson. Quinn. Mark stared at the bottle in his hand, then at me, completely bewildered. I grabbed the wrong one. This is my wife's. I was trying to grab the... He didn't get to finish. Hotel security swarmed him and pinned him to the ground. I stood there, my back feeling strangely clean and a little chilly. Quinn stepped out from behind me, her expression unreadable. Are you okay? I'm fine. I shook my head, just feeling very refreshed. She looked at my drenched shirt, and then, for the first time, a genuine, unforced laugh escaped her lips. It was like watching an iceberg melt in the spring. Seeing her laugh, I couldn't help but laugh too. And in that moment, standing outside a fancy hotel, smelling faintly of my cellar water, all the lies and pretenses just seemed to melt away. After the makeup remover assault, Mark Thompson was fired for workplace misconduct and vanished from our lives. I managed to convince my parents that an urgent project required my full attention and sent them home. Life, it seemed, was returning to normal. But Quinn and I both knew that some things had changed for good. She never moved her things out of my apartment. And I, in a silent agreement, never asked her to. We continued our strange, cohabiting relationship. We still slept in separate rooms, but we had breakfast together in the mornings. We'd come home from work and watch TV on the couch. On weekends, we'd go grocery shopping together, arguing over what to make for dinner like a real couple. I felt like I actually had a girlfriend. One evening, our company held a banquet to celebrate the successful completion of a major project. Everyone was in high spirits, and the drinks were flowing. I'd been cornered by a few colleagues and was feeling a little buzzed. Quinn, as the director, was naturally the star of the show. She'd had her fair share of toasts, and a faint blush colored her usually pale cheeks. After the dinner, everyone wanted to go to a karaoke bar. I looked at Quinn, who was swaying slightly on her feet, and made an executive decision. She's had too much to drink. I'm taking her home. I supported her as we left the hotel. The cool night air seemed to hit her all at once, and she sagged against me. Her scent, a mix of her usual light perfume and wine, was intoxicating. I got her into a cab. On the way home, she was quiet, her head resting on my shoulder like a docile cat. Without her professional armor, all that was left was a soft, vulnerable woman. I watched her sleeping face, her long eyelashes casting shadows on her cheeks. My heart felt like it was dissolving. When we got back to the apartment, I helped her onto the couch. Quinn, wake up. Go sleep in the bed. She opened her eyes groggily, her gaze unfocused. Ethan, she murmured my name. Yeah, I'm here. My head is spinning. I'll get you some water. I started to get up, but she grabbed my hand. Her hand was cool, but her grip was surprisingly strong. Don't go, she said. I sat back down. She held my hand, not saying anything, just looking at me. The alcohol had washed away the coldness in her eyes, replacing it with something mesmerizing. My mouth went dry. My heart pounded against my ribs. Quinn, you... Ethan, she interrupted me. Do you like me? Boom. Her words were a bombshell that completely obliterated my consciousness. Did she just ask me that? Was she drunk, or was this a test? I looked into her shimmering eyes and felt completely exposed, as if she could see every thought in my head. I opened my mouth, but the word no wouldn't come out. She saw my panicked expression, and a slow smile spread across her face. She leaned in, closer, and closer. I could smell the wine on her breath. I could see my own terrified reflection in her pupils. My mind was a blank slate. I forgot to move, forgot to breathe. And then her lips gently touched mine. They were soft, cool, and tasted faintly of wine. Time stood still. The kiss was light and brief, like a feather brushing against my heart. And then she fell asleep. For real. Fast asleep, leaving me alone on the couch, petrified, until the sun came up. The next morning, when she woke up, she acted as if nothing had happened. She rubbed her temples, groaning from her hangover. How did I end up sleeping on the couch? I stared at her innocent face, a million sarcastic retorts dying on my tongue. She had to be doing this on purpose. She had to be. Kiss a guy and run? Unforgivable. I was so mad I didn't speak to her all day. That evening, however, she knocked on my bedroom door as if everything was perfectly normal. "Ethan, can you come out here for a second?" I stomped out into the living room. She was standing there holding a small, official-looking booklet. "What's this?" I asked. "My birth certificate," she said, placing it in my hand, "and my social security card." "Me? What are you doing?" "I looked it up," she said, her expression completely serious. "The law requires both parties to present identification to get a marriage license." I felt my jaw unhinge and drop to the floor. Ugh, a marriage license. "Well, what else?" She raised an eyebrow. "My mom, your mom, was asking in the group chat again yesterday. When are we getting the license? When's the wedding? When are we having kids?" She pulled out her phone and showed me the chat history from the Cole family royal court. My mother's increasingly pointed voice memos were right there at the top. "See? The people have spoken," Quinn said, putting her phone away and crossing her arms. "As the parties involved, shouldn't we give the people what they want?" I looked at her deadpan face and felt like I was dreaming. But this is all fake," I said weakly. "Oh," she stepped closer, looking me directly in the eyes. "Was the kiss last night fake too?" My face exploded in a blush. She remembered. I was speechless. "Ethan," she suddenly dropped the playful act, her gaze becoming intensely serious. "This whole thing, it started as a mistake when you added me to that chat. But now I want to turn that mistake into the right decision. Are you willing to do that with me?" I looked at her, at the light dancing in her eyes, at the look of genuine hope and nervousness on her beautiful face that I had never seen before. And in that moment, my heart felt full to bursting. All the doubts, all the uncertainty vanished. I nodded hard. "I am." Then I walked into my room and came back with my own documents. "We'll need mine, too." Quinn stared at the papers in my hand, stunned, and then she smiled. A real, brilliant smile that crinkled the corners of her eyes and lit up the entire room, brighter than any star in the sky. The next day, we stood in front of the county clerk's office. Hand in hand, Quinn and I walked through the doors. When we walked out, we each had a new piece of paper, our marriage certificate. I stared at it, still feeling like I was in a dream. I was married to the woman I once considered my personal devil. Quinn took out her phone. Click. She snapped a photo of us holding the certificate. Then she opened that all-too-familiar group chat. The Cole family royal court. She posted the picture. A second later, the chat exploded. My mom's massive Venmo payment, followed by $9.99 plus notifications of congratulations from my aunts, flooded the screen. I looked at my phone, then at my wife, Quinn, who was smiling beside me. And I realized that thumb slip, that one stupid mistake, was the luckiest thing that had ever happened to me. End.